These four classes of drugs have got their own limitations, and these are few of the side effects that I have mentioned. 5-ASA, mostly it would be hematological abnormalities, hypersensitivity reactions, but their side effects are mostly dose dependent. The common doses that we use in most of the patients, at what level they get controlled, they are pretty safe drugs, I would say. These side effects are rare. But for rest of the drugs, for corticosteroids, we know the long-term harmful effects of long-term use of corticosteroids. Methotrexate, immunosuppression, and bone marrow suppression and liver fibrosis are obvious side effects. And anti-TNF alpha molecules, that is infliximab and adalimumab. The biggest risk in our country is reactivation of latent tuberculosis. And in long-term series of these drugs, it has been shown that patients who receive these drugs over long-term, approximately 10 to 15% will have some sort of reactivation of tuberculosis, which requires stopping these drugs. Now, with these limitations, we need some new drugs. There are many drugs in pipeline. Three kinds of therapies I will be discussing about. But let's first overview how we actually treat these patients. Now, once you see a patient of inflammatory bowel disease, you can see his disease in two different aspects. One is he presents to you with active disease. First, you have to control that activity. And once you control that activity, we call it, you induce the remission. You have to maintain that remission. You have to prevent that inflammation to again hyper. It's like any patient that we see, for example, diabetes, if he comes with uncontrolled blood sugar, first you try to bring it down, and then with drugs you try to maintain his blood sugar at that particular level. So in these two aspects, we have to discuss the whole management. Rest all are supportive treatment, like restoring the nutrition, maintaining all nutritional deficiencies, by to give some emphasis on patient's quality of life. And once if nothing works, then the last resort would be surgery. This is the therapeutic pyramid from IBD, and it is true for most of the chronic diseases that you start with the most mildest and the safest and the cheapest drug, and gradually you escalate as the disease progresses or as the severity increases. Nowadays there is ongoing debate that why not start it early, why not just invert the pyramid and go for biologicals first, then steroids and then aminosalicylates. And even that's a matter of debate, and I won't be going in that debate, but more or less this is what the regime is which is followed. Mild disease, start with aminosalicylates, doesn't get control, go for steroids, doesn't get control, go for surgery or biologicals or higher immunomodulators. This is in brief how you treat ulcerative colitis. If patient comes to you with active disease which is mild to moderate, you give 5-ASA, you can give oral tablets. If the disease is limited to rectum and sigmoid, we can give topical 5-ASA. If it doesn't get control, you can give oral steroids. A short course of oral steroids, maybe 4 to 6 weeks would suffice. IBD, we need to have a certain threshold of suspicion when to suspect IBD. We have ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Suspect ulcerative colitis, patient comes with long history of bleeding PR, blood is mixed with stool, suspect ulcerative colitis. And any patient who comes with chronic diarrhea, features of malabsorption, not responding to anti-tuberculous drugs, suspect Crohn's disease in him. The diagnosis can be straightforward by endoscopy, colonoscopy, biopsies would give you the clue. And if we follow the recommended management algorithms, most of the patient would be controlled. Hardly less than 10% would of them would reach the point of surgery. So these are the few points which I would like to you all to remember and take home messages from me. Thank you.